On Ticker, this is Import Export with Lawrence Christophels.
We're now joined again by Catherine Servasio, the founder of Aroma Baby. Thanks so much for joining us, Catherine.
Hello,
you can hear me okay?
This time?
Yes, I can.
Hear you, yeah. Oh,
Great.
fantastic.
Fantastic. Catherine, with what you've gone through with the export journey, what are the important tips and advice, and what are the lessons learned from your perspective as an exporter along your journey so far?
Well, I guess, what George said was really interesting, but for me, I'm an exporter, so I don't have to handle the cargo coming in. I think, look, definitely there's things now that I can see all the work that I've put in the last few years are really paying off. So I jumped on the opportunity to have a chat today when I saw that call out. So, for example, being on the ground and actually building these relationships, which is particularly important in countries like Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, China. In fact, we've got people from China listening in to the interview today. So, I mean, these sort of relationships that you build, they become lifelong friends. And if they can help you to do business, they will. I think that's my number one thing. So, building those relationships and spending the time on the ground in the countries where you want to export to, and understanding a little bit of the culture, actually going there and participating in those trade shows, investing in time and money, obviously, and actually really understanding the market.
Catherine, the other thing that I've really admired about some of the speeches you've given in the past are the things around the preparedness and research and how important that is, because so many companies fall into exports where they'll get an inquiry through email or through the website and they'll start to export or dabble in that. But I love the way that you've actually taken that as a conscious decision and really been professional about the way you've gone about that.
Yeah, look, as I said, I did sort of start by accident, but I suppose I don't really do things by halves. Anything that I do, I try and do it. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I try and do it the absolute best way that I can. I also love to work from the heart. So, I know that's sort of thrown around a lot these days, but the whole reason I started my business was because of a personal need, and I wanted to make a difference for parents that had babies with sensitive skin or eczema and that kind of thing. So I think, the way that you run your business is a reflection of yourself. Yep. And look, it's really tough at the moment, but the last few weeks I've had people on WeChat talking about distribution and resurrecting some inquiries that we've had in the past. This is for China. So you can see that things are getting back to normal, and it's all that work and that authenticity, I suppose, where we're reaching out to them saying, can I help? Is there anything I can do? And how can we add value to what you're doing? And I think that's a great way to start business.
Yeah, totally agree. And that emphasis that you make on relationships is so powerful. And even now with technology that we've got, the ability to maintain those relationships through things like WeChat and Zoom, Skype, whatever people use these days around the world, it does get easier. And I think that there's so many opportunities that I mentioned just before the break that although things are tough here in Australia, globally there's a whole range of new opportunities emerging. Our Aussie dollar's quite low still, and there is a focus now on, okay, well, let's rethink our product base, let's rethink our markets.
And absolutely rethink our audience, because people are buying differently, they have different needs, and they're going to look to brands and people that they trust that have been there. So, I mean, it forces you to think outside of the box if you weren't already. But yeah, I think absolutely it's changing the way that we're doing things.
Sure. What's in store for Aroma Baby over the coming months and years? Where would you like it to see grow even further, Catherine?
Well, I think, this is our 25th year, so sometimes I think, what am I doing, still doing this? But I actually get so much joy and so much great, feedback that just about when I'm thinking, I'm over this, somebody else needs to take the reins to grow the business back up, because we actually scaled the business down. So I raised my two boys, which are now, they're out of school, so there's no excuse anymore. But there's always something that keeps me going. So, when you think you can't go on, or you think, wow, it's really challenging, and it certainly is at the moment, you've got to really dig deep. And I think what's next for us is that with the inquiries we're getting, we actually sent an order out to Singapore last week. So we're not doing container loads, we're doing Mostly we air freight, so our products are sort of dense. We're sending weight versus volume. But what I'm saying, I guess, is people still have a need for high quality products that they trust. And as long as people need what we're delivering, I will keep going. We were in investor talks late last year, and their focus switched to these kind of sanitising products, etc., which is understandable. So I suppose you could say that we may be looking at merging with a larger organisation in order to grow and scale back up. We're a micro business at the moment, and there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm just looking forward to this 12 months and this next little bit being over and getting back to some sort of normality.
Yeah. Well, the three powerful takeaways that I got there was trust, authenticity, quality, and you and Aroma Baby definitely represent those three words really well. And really powerfully. So I think that you're a great case study for Australian exports and exporters. What about, I wanted to ask your advice on being a female entrepreneur and a female exporter. We've had WISTA, which is the Women International Shipping and Trade Association. They've been on our show a few times, and we want to really support female entrepreneurs and female exporters or international trade operators. What advice would you give there, Catherine?
I think, the research is out there now that, having more female board members and more females in management does add to your bottom line. Hello. But apart from that, I think, we know that women are sensitive, they're flexible, they're conflict resolvers. So all of those things can be really great for teams, and they do have that creative sort of outlook, and they're more maybe think outside the box a little bit more, less structured and less, kind of analytical, if you like. So I think, if people can embrace more females in senior positions, for me, I'm in product development. There's a lot of men in personal care, developing products, buying brands, buying businesses, but they don't have that, no disrespect, but I think it's a different level of authenticity when you buy a business or buy a brand versus having built one from the heart. So I think, look at building your teams and bringing people on board that have that really core stuff that people are looking for. And these are the things that consumers are looking for. Yeah. Women are 50% of the shopping spend. So I think they're the sort of things that I would be encouraging businesses to do.
Yeah, it's great advice, and especially as you pointed out there, females are typically the buyers of these products anyway, in most products, and especially in overseas markets or emerging markets, that's even more the case, probably more than 50%. So it's a yes. huge way to relate to the consumer, relate to how that product will work or adapt in that market. So it's fantastic, valuable advice.
I guess the big thing is trying to be of service to people. It's not about what's in it for me, but if you approach your business in a mindset of how can you be of service and what can you do, how can you make a difference in a business sense, I think that's a really good way to look at it.
Great. Catherine, just about to wrap up, but how's the coronavirus has impacted your business? You mentioned you're doing export orders already to Singapore, and have you found that things have shifted in that demand, or have new markets started emerging already?
Well, look, there's new inquiries coming through now, but from the markets where we put the hard work in before. I think for us, it's been a really slow couple of months, since Chinese New Year and since COVID-19 sort of emerged. And also, with staff, I'm in the office and showroom warehouse on my own most of the time. I alternate with staff so that the environment's sterile. But it is really tough. We did take a big hit, and we're hoping that Australian buyers and Australian stores can actually get behind Australian business. Yeah. So, we're not relying completely on export all the time. I mean, we've got amazing products, and if it wasn't for export, we wouldn't have survived.
Yeah, it's an important message that people need to be reminded of as well, is to support the local businesses. Thanks so much, Catherine. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Import Export, and we'd love to get you on again sometime in the future as well, and hopefully once we've overcome this situation at the moment. But best of luck in the future, and great. Looking forward to seeing that journey grow even further.